Thank you. It's been a long day and I know we're running behind, so when you have a sponsor presentation or a technologist presentation come up, I know sometimes people think it's going to be a sales pitch. What I promise you today is it won't be a sales pitch. I'm going to talk to you about what's been happening within the world of retail and how we're helping people change with what's going on. Okay, that's not the right button. So, Zebra Technologies has been around for quite a while and is in the forefront of transport and logistics, supply chain and retail experiences. But what we try to do is have a mantra that says making business as smart and as connected as the world we live in. And that's the problem that we face at the moment. And it's all about how we can actually make sure that the retailers that are serving our consumers in the world know as much information as the consumers do. So I'm just going to start with a really simple video just to help tell a story. Except for there's no sound.
And the Internet of Things give our physical objects a digital voice. They connect, they talk, they share data. But how do
an animated video to help tell a little bit of a story? From a company perspective, we tend to use the technologies that are up on the screen behind me to help our customers solve their supply chain and their retail issues. The interesting point is, as I was coming in getting ready to talk now, I was listening to some of the panel. And I'm just going to put up some statistics that actually help reinforce some of what they were saying. And maybe our session should have been before that panel session rather than afterwards, because what is driving us and what is driving our customers to help get to the answers of where we're going to? These are most of the trends that we're seeing. And these trends are not North American trends. I don't speak with an American accent, I speak with an Australian accent, but I spend 3 weeks every month travelling anywhere from New Zealand to India or China. That's the region and the territory that I look after. And all of the information that I'm going to talk about, it applies to what we call the Asia Pacific region. So these are the trends that we're seeing. And what we're seeing is that we need to make sure that the connected consumer is being served. And how we go about serving them is a different experience, but in some ways it's the same. I beg to differ with one of the panelists there before who said that somebody who's done a click and collect order, so an online order and wants to pick it up at the store, should be treated differently to a customer that walks in. They shouldn't. They maybe should be served faster, but the experience needs to be the same in all environments and all channels of service. So if we think about some of the statistics that are coming up here, showrooming is the biggest impact to bricks and mortar retailers that you will see anywhere. That's where people come in, try on goods in the store and then go online and look at that merchandise. People are saying to us that price is more important than brand these days, and that they shop where they want to shop. They won't shop based on loyalty, and that 75+% of purchases are influenced by digital. And what we mean by that is either digital messaging, digital marketing, or the ability to actually research things online. If you think about the unconnected retailer, as you can see here, everything's very, very disjointed. You'll find that a lot of retailers will have loyalty systems. Their loyalty systems are not able to actually be leveraged. They don't know who's necessarily brought what. So 50% of retailers can't leverage their loyalty data. 72% can't plan across their total channels. 47% of consumers' expectations are not being able to be delivered, and 78% have not implemented a distributed order management system. These are the things that we're working on and creating with what we call the smart connected retailer. And that retailer is all about changing the experience. And this is why I say I beg to differ with one of our previous speakers. We talk about one store, one experience. You come into a bricks and mortar store, you get the same experience as if you're shopping online or if you're shopping remotely. We're doing lots of work with lots of customers around, as the gentleman referred to, click and collect. Grocery retailers in Australia, for example, are now allowing people to place an online order 30 minutes before they can come past and collect it. So I leave the office and I place my order as I'm getting in the office, at the office there. I'm ordering some bread, some milk, and something to come through. They know that based on connectivity, where I am, what I want to order. I say I'm going to come and pick it up at 6 o'clock, it's 5:30, I'm within the 30-minute cut-off time. Because I'm using their connected app, they actually know how long it's taken me to get to their store. So they've got 20 orders that are placed, they place mine on that point. When I pull up at the store, I hand over my phone with a barcode on it, they scan my barcode and give me my order. It takes 2.5 minutes, typically from when I park to receive my goods order that's come through. The previous experience used to take 20 minutes to 30 minutes by the time I found a car park, walked in, walked around the store, got distracted by not what my wife had asked me to get, but what extra things I thought I wanted to get, and everything else. So instead of getting home at 6:05, which I do with click and collect, I used to get home at 6:30, which is wasting my evening. So we need to start to think about the experience and battling for that dollar. That dollar spend is getting shared and shared very, very fast and thoroughly. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to say connected shopper, the connected associate or the enabled associate, and empowering of IT. So if we start to think about redefining the customer experience, and when I talk about the Internet of Things is not new. The Internet of Things has been around for 20 odd years. It's just we've now branded it. We've now called it something. If you think about what it really means, it means that it's able to take that data. Some people talk about big data. We talk about edge data. Don't worry about the big data of what their average spend is. Worry about how quickly I can get goods on the shelf to fulfill the next customer's order who's just taken the last item off that shelf. It doesn't matter if your average spend in a basket of grocery lines is $100. If you don't have the stock on the shelf to be able to fulfill the next customer, your next customer spend's not going to be $100. So you need to start to think about that improved supply chain and how to interact with something that comes up. The example that I have here is a winery solution that we run through one of the large bottle shops in Australia. And what happens is when you take a bottle of wine off the shelf, you go to an interactive sign or display board that's beside that wine rack, and it starts talking about meal options, foods that go with this wine and all of that by using an RFID sensor that's enabled on the bottom of that wine rack. What we're also doing is enabling automated shelves. So when somebody walks through a store, giving them direct push marketing. The ability of taking the inventory management and taking the order of where it comes from. I was talking about sales promotion and click and collect. A lot of our mass merchandisers, so our fashion merchandisers, are taking end of season goods and they're putting them into their online stores. And they're using it to click at a simple store. So the analogy that I like to use here in India at the moment is that we all know that certain regions sell different style of clothing. If there's stock that's available down in Bangalore and somebody in New Delhi wants to buy it, why can't they do an online click and collect? Place the order based on the query stock that's in the Bangalore store, transfer it to the New Delhi store and then pick it up 2 days later. That merchandising and taking that, and that's the way the mass merchandisers, a lot in China, a lot in Singapore and Australia, are actually embracing and working against the e-merchants. So they're starting to use their stores as their online warehouses. So they would rather say, take that stock from that store and have the sale than lose it to a mass merchandiser. So what we're trying to do is we try to enable many messaging, many methods of interaction, and try to make it a personalised experience. I do believe, as one of our speakers before said, that you need to get them engaged and focused. So the ability to use beaconing, the ability to use wireless technology, 2D barcodes, RFID and smart displays is taking that interaction to the next level. They're all methods of the Internet of Things. You all think of them as supply chain. You think of them as point of sale retail, but they're actually all ways of interacting with goods and with services. So I would like to say thank you. That should have been about 10 minutes. Should put us back on track a little bit later. I can see some smiles from the audience because I didn't run over time. I know what it's like being a delegate and having people come up. So